Who am I? The girls them sugar.
All right, you want to go ahead and talk about the last topic?
Yeah, so on this last topic, so there is a viral video going around, but we'll basically explain it. Hopefully, one of us will put the clip in here. But on 6 July,
don't get on his neck now. Just tase him.
Get off his neck, bro. Fuck all that shit.
Come on his back. Come on his back.
All right,
we got you.
I'm just saying, man.
Right here.
I
got you.
All right, yo.
Y'all want to help out? Nah, we just.
Nah, just get off his back. I'm just saying,
We
you
just.
know.
Help us out. You need some help? Yeah.
I'm just saying, though, bro. Just get off.
He lied. He lied. As we cuff him, as soon as we get him up.
Stay still.
Hey, I'm not the
Get help.
Stay still. Hey, don't do all that resistance, bro. Chill out, bro.
Just chill out, man. They gonna put the handcuffs on
He
you.
lied.
Don't do all the resistance.
They go the handcuffs right there. Get the handcuffs right there.
We can't get that on. Yeah, he don't want to give us his arm, man.
Hey, give me your arm, bro. Give me your say, homie. Give me your arm, bro. Give me your arm.
Give me your arm, man.
Please, bro. Please, bro. Give me your arm.
Look, man, record this. I'm gonna get his arm so they won't hurt him. Record this. I'm gonna get his arm. Look, I'm gonna get his arm. We got a knife on. Do we got a knife on?
We haven't found him.
All right, come on, give me your arm, bro. I just don't want you to get hurt, man. I just don't want you to get hurt.
Yeah.
Come on, yeah, grab his arm. I don't want you to get hurt, man. I don't want you to get hurt, bro.
Cuff him.
Let him move, man. You good?
I just don't want him to get hurt. Thanks, guys.
Hold on. You got it? Yeah. Roll him over.
Yeah, roll him over.
Come on. Okay, here you come to top, man. Hey, come here. Sit up, man. Sit up. There you go.
My t-shirt broke off.
So you're fine.
July 6, 2020, officers were attempting to arrest a black man. I'll refer to that black man as a suspect just for the ease of the situation. But basically, they were attempting to arrest the suspect, and he had a knife on him, reportedly. A struggle was ensued, and then somehow the police officers got the suspect on the ground, but they weren't able to actually put him in cuffs. So some people walked up on him, basically recording the situation, and then it started with them saying, "Hey, like, don't put your knee on his neck." And then the cop was like, "Hey, I don't have my knee on his neck. I got my knee on his back. Like, I'm not doing all that. I'm just trying to put him in cuffs." And then the guy was like, "All right, I'm just making sure you don't got the knee on his neck. Like, we won't want anything to happen to him." And he's like, "Hey, do y'all want to help me?" And then basically the gentleman walked over. One of them got on the ground and got eye level with the suspect and was telling him like, "Hey, bro, just comply. Like, we don't want anything to happen to you." And then the gentleman by the name of, I think I'm saying his name right, but Uralic Fields, he walked up to him and basically said, "Hey, does he have a knife on him?" And then I guess it was communicated that the suspect didn't have any knife on him. So he basically grabbed his arm, the suspect's arm, and was like, "Hey, bro, I don't want nothing to happen to you. Like, here, just give me your arm, bro. Like, I don't want nothing to happen to you. Just let him cuff you, and it'll be straight from here. I don't want anything to happen." So Mr. Fields grabbed his arm, helped the cop actually cuff him. And then from his hand, once he grabbed the suspect's hand, his hand was bleeding. So maybe he did have a knife on him at some point. But once he got his arm, the police got his other arm, and they were able to diffuse, de-escalate, and apprehend the suspect. So we want to talk about that interaction. You know, I think that this is a lot of people, including the mayor, the police chief, said that this should be a video to kind of as a lesson to society of how police interactions can go, how civilians can intervene in situations like this. But we kind of want to give our thoughts on that unique situation, especially during these times when we're talking about police brutality and police interactions with the Black community.
Yeah, so I think we both agree that this was a great interaction. Correct?
I have my criticisms.
Okay, because I got some criticisms, but I want to address them. But overall, I feel like it was a good interaction. I think that at that point, it was the community was stepping in to intervene, but it wasn't like aggressively, right? Like, so I think that's kind of when we gotta like check ourselves, and when we go into situations and actually making them worse. I think I had that same criticism for Young and May when she addressed some type of cops that were pulling over somebody, and it was just a simple traffic stop. And Young and May and like several other people were over there, and they were just yelling and screaming at the cop, and it just made it a little bit more than it actually had to be, especially for a simple traffic stop. For this situation, the community came over, trying to make sure that the gentleman was safe, saying like, "Hey, don't put his knee on his neck." The cop surely showed that, "Hey, I'm just putting my knee on his back. Just to contain him, I just need his hands. That's all I need. If you guys come help me calm him down, give me his hands. That's all he had to. That's all we got to do. All he said was, "Hey, do you want to help?" He didn't say, "I need your help." He said, "Do you want to help? If you want to be involved in this, then come on and be involved in that. That's cool. Just do it in a safe manner. We're all good." So the cop took on the risk of having 3 other men come in and intervene in that situation. So I applaud him for that because he didn't have to, right? Because he could have just been like, he could have did what every other cop do when we seen these type of situations, was just stay back. A lot of other cops say you just stay back. Like, hey, I don't need anybody else intervene in these situations. He's saying, hey, I trust y'all in the community enough to come in here, intervene, help us out with this. And they did. He came in, he got level with the guy. He told him, like, hey, like, we can get past this. Like, your day to argue is in court. I think that's what we need to start thinking about is, hey, our day to argue is in court. Whenever anybody, and that's just not the Black community, that's anybody. Like, if you were being arrested, your day to argue that arrest is in court. It's not at the time. You're not going to talk yourself out of an arrest at that point. If you're already getting hassled onto the ground and having handcuffs put on you, you're not going to get yourself arguing out of that point, out of that arrest. You're going to be arrested, whether you get a ticket or get taken down to the court, taken down to the jail. That's depending on the crime. But your day to argue is in court, and you have that day in court. You need to make sure that you show up to that day prepared and ready to go for that argument. But while you there, while, like I said, the man lying on the ground screaming he's lying, he's doing this, he's lying, they're doing this, that's fine. But right now is not the time for that. So that's what the gentleman, which is, let me say his name, I got that right here, Ulrich Fields, he actually laid on the ground next to the man and just told him, hey, like stop all this resistance, like just chill out. We all here, we can all see, we're recording, feel safe, like it's all good. We're not gonna let you get hurt. Which is when he actually calmed down, gave him his hands, things of that nature. So I think that we need to more combine as the police in the community into having situations like this. I don't think it always has to go like this because I feel like the police should be a part of the community, which is kind of the problem. I feel like is that the cops, it feels like the cops are kind of not a part of the community right now. Like they stand above the community, which just seems like an issue. But overall, I feel like this is a great interaction. I have a few criticism. I'll let you get yours off first, but we might have the same ones, so I'll let you get yours off first. But overall, I don't see the big issue. I know there's a lot of mixed criticisms coming from this, but mixed views, I should say. But overall, I see a good interaction. Nobody got hurt. We had a community and the police officers working together, which is what we need more of. That's a win to me.
Yeah, I think when we talked about this on an earlier podcast, when I said like we need a defensive strategy, this is kind of like a proof of concept. When I talked about we need somebody there, if you are to be involved with an officer, you need somebody there to record the interaction, and you need to have a person that's willing to step in if you see the interaction is going left, or some type of de-escalation needs to be applied. And I think this kind of is why I said what I need to say, because one, you had somebody there recording the whole situation. So if you need evidence to corroborate what you're there to do, you had that. Then you had somebody willing to step up, approach the officer, confront him, don't put your knee on his neck, I don't want to see anything happen, and then able to intervene to actually help de-escalate the situation. So this is kind of a proof of concept of what I was talking about earlier about why we need to travel in packs so that situations like this can be de-escalated by somebody with us. So I applaud Mr. Fields and the officers for being able to work together and de-escalate the situation. However, I do think that you need to be mindful that there were multiple cops there. There wasn't just one-on-one, like one cop with a person there. So the fact that they weren't able to neutralize, de-escalate, and arrest that person by themselves worries me about their training. That worries me about their capacity to handle that type of situation. And if they're not properly equipped to handle these situations, I think that's what ultimately leads to the escalation, the chokeholds, the knee on the necks, the shootings of unarmed Black men. So that right there alarmed me that they weren't able to. And he wasn't a big guy, you know what I mean? Like it looked like a pretty small guy that you should be able to grab his arms and put him in cuffs. So that alarmed me that they weren't capable of doing that. Secondly, the fact, like I said before, there was reportedly like the person had a knife. And even when Mr. Fields walked up to the situation, he was asking him like, hey, before I grab his arms, does he have a knife? Like, let me know, does he have a knife? Yes or no? So if that person did have a knife and you're inviting two more people over to the situation, and that person does have a weapon, not only are you still at danger, but now you're putting civilians in danger. Now you're putting bystanders that had nothing to do with the situation. Now you're putting them at risk to be hurt when they have nothing to do with the situation. So that I kind of think, I don't think that this should be a precedent going forward, because yes, this worked out fine. Yes, they were able to de-escalate it, but say if they were on some type of drugs where they were hallucinating or they're just aggressive, why bring more people that aren't trained or they're not trained or not equipped to handle this type of violence, this type of interaction, and put them in danger because you can't do your job? So that, to me, is a big criticism I have. And I think that officers should be able to diffuse these situations without the help of different citizens.
Yeah, I have the exact same criticism. So I feel the same way. If you can't de-escalate a situation, which is your job, then maybe you shouldn't be on the force, right? Which is kind of what the situation we've been talking about lately. But also have the criticism of people that are saying like, hey, we need to get rid of cops completely, which is speaks a little bit to your second point, which is it's a dangerous job, right? Like if you saying that we all need to just be out here policing ourselves, is that really a feasible goal? Like, is it a feasible goal for us to say, like, if I see, because how many times, especially in the Black community, which we go into, which is mind your business, right? We go into mind your business, like walk past shit when you see it happening. Walk, don't worry about it. It's not your business. Don't call nobody. Don't say nothing. Don't tell nobody. That's just kind of what we do, right? Like we just mind our own business. So if we don't have any cops, right, and these crimes are going on in the communities, these drugs, somebody hitting up a robbery, things of that nature, things a lot of the time that's against another Black person. Like who are we to say that we have to sit and mind our own business, right? At some point, if we didn't have cops, we'd all have to intervene. So if we really want to, and I'm not saying this is exactly what defund the police is about. I'm just saying I see a lot of people on the comments just saying this, which is like, hey, this is why we don't need cops at all because they can't do their job. It's like, no, I think we really need to empower cops a little bit more so they feel a little bit more comfortable doing their job. It's not an easy job to do, right? It's not an easy job to, I don't know how it, like I said, the dude was small. Surely they should have been able to detain him without help of four other people. Surely, like you would like to think that. But again, maybe their training is up to par for that, which is another. That's the problem that we need to address. But again, overall, which I can only judge the outcome, right? Because we can judge what might have happened, had something dangerous, had something actually happened, but I can only really judge the outcome, and the outcome was positive. The outcome was overwhelmingly positive. No one got hurt. The man was taken into custody. Whether he had his day, when he gets his day of court, have his day of court and everything like that. But I say shout out to the cop because he brought people in that he didn't have to. He brought a set of people in, another set of hands, another set of people that was more that looked like the suspect that made sure they calmed him down. Could have went wrong, absolutely, but that my criticism is kind of quelled because I've seen the outcome of it. I don't think this is, like you said, I don't think this should be something that we should be doing going forward because I don't think that everybody in the community, not even just our community, but just in America, is as calm and as well thought out as Mr. Fields was in this situation. But it's something to look at least. It's something to look at. We as a community and the cops have to come together. The cops have got to come a part of the community. There's always going to be some type of resentment for somebody that's in your mind is there just to take you to jail. But if we can get back together as to where, like you said, we need more cops that we know. We need more people that's in the community. Because we see good police interactions. We see cops where they racing kids down the street, they playing basketball with the kids, they doing stuff within the community to build that type of relationship. We just need more of that. That's all I'm saying. We just need more of that, so it's not so much of a divide between the police and the community. That's all I'm saying. So this to me is a bridging the gap a bit, whether it's a first step or not, whether it's perfect, it's not, but just something to think about going forward.
Yeah, I don't mean to be negative. Like I said, I do commend both the officer and the bystanders for intervening. It's just got to be mindful of we can't think in broad terms. We got to be specific, you know, because I think that's what led to Deshaun Jackson, you know, being misinformed. And I think that we need to address each situation by situation. Like, yes, it worked out this time, but let's not get carried away and think that this is the precedent, because, like you said, there are too many variables going on with this type of situation. So I think, again, this is a teachable moment. This is one that we need to commend those involved, and just shout out to them for de-escalating the situation and not adding to the statistic of police brutality.
100%. It was love, man. It made me happy to watch. I'll say that. It made me happy to watch because it was something different. It was something different than what we used to see. When I started the video, I didn't know what I was about to see. And so when I got through the video, I was like, okay, I can. But again, we didn't get to see what came on before. We didn't get to see if the dude was aggressive. There was a lot of stuff that we don't know within just that video. But based off of just what I've seen, I appreciate it. So, yeah, man. Yeah. If I ever get arrested, you know, I need you to hop in and tell me to chill out. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean?
I'm being that bitch beating your ass with him. Like, get your ass, stop resisting. Stop resisting.
I'm looking at me. No. No.
You're supposed to be helping me. Dog. I am. Stop resisting.
Hit the.
I know.
If you ain't getting arrested, boy, you ain't.
Boy, you ain't. Got him. I'm fucking have a party.
Spot him, red dot him, hot him, fuck it, let's have a party.
Got him. Let's have a party. All right, man. Let's.
Who am I? The girls them sugar.